Hey. Welcome to the Cognitive Rampage. I'm your host, Adam Lowry, as usual. Quite an exciting football weekend. My God, man. It's been pretty close. I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of people aren't tuned in right now, watching Peyton and Luck battle it out. If anybody wants to keep me updated on scores, that'd be kind of you. I appreciate it. Michelle will be here in just a little bit. She's running a tad behind, but she'll be here. I always love talking to Michelle when she's here. She's such a great person, really nice, and so well trained in so many different applications, treatments, etc. But well versed in nutrition as well, of course. I put the topics up on my Facebook, LinkedIn, all over the place. So if you want to chime in, feel free to when she gets here. I'll tell you, a few things I've been excited about. My entire family is now eating 100% organic in its term, however you want to put that in term, but 6 days a week we eat organic. We're sticking to the routine. I urge a lot of people, if you're trying to get back in shape or do some things, really stick to a routine at least 6 days a week. The 7th day a week, like today, is cheat day, so you get to while out and have fun after that. I'd urge you to look at the routine, stick to a routine, even what you eat as a routine. If you want to eat organic 7 days or have you, whatever, you can do that, but keep into a routine and eating the same thing even regular not only helps you not only makes you keep eating healthy in a routine, but you don't have to think about it. It's energy you don't have to waste. When you wake up in the morning, you don't have to think about what you're going to make for breakfast or what you're going to take to lunch or what have you. So sticking to a routine really, really helps. I can't tell you how different my body feels since changing over and eating completely organic those 6 days. My energy level is ridiculous. My stomach is wonderful. It just changes so much. You don't realize how much crap that you eat throughout the day that's not real. I mean, it's not even real food. And we shove it down our throats, man. So just be careful, stick to that routine, really get into it. When Michelle gets here, we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to talk about supplements, vitamins, some of the basics, a few must-haves. I can kind of update you on what I do and what I take as far as supplements are concerned, if you need them, because I'm a huge fan of getting the minerals and things you need from food directly. That's the best way to get any nutrients, vitamins, etc. that you can want. And the food exists out there to do so. But not all of us like the taste of those foods or etc. So we use supplements, and some of us also work out extremely hard. So we need those supplements to replace what we're losing in those hard workouts during the day. But this is the time, it's the new year, where everybody's made those promises to themselves. They're going to eat healthy, lose weight, etc. And I hate to stick with the cliche shit we hear all the time about it's a lifestyle, etc. But it really is. Don't think about it as a diet. Diets are bullshit. Think about it as that's just what you eat and how you eat. Don't think about so much. I mean, food can taste great that's natural, organic too. It takes a while after your taste buds and all are used to some of that synthetic made crap we do. But after your taste buds change over after a couple weeks and your body starts to get acclimated to real food, you start to get used to it. But you have to get out of that notion of eating necessarily for reward or eating necessarily for these rich fake flavors, if you will. Our body gets addicted to those things, be that corn syrup, sugar, carbohydrates. Your body can develop certain needs for those foods, especially if you're packing them in like crazy. But stay positive on yourself as you're making those changes. Just because you may slip up one day or all week maybe, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's the fact you're still trying to make that change, and respect the process. Many times we look at outcome. Maybe someone's trying to lose 50 pounds or so, and then the outcome seems so far. I'd urge you not to focus on the outcome so much, but the process. As you're changing your eating styles, changing your eating habits, these are processes, and you will fail. You'll flunk a day or a week and cheat back, but that's okay as long as you keep going. Look, I'm not all for giant abrupt changes all across everything at once. They generally don't sustain very long. So I would urge you to the notion of the process. I would urge you to make 1 or 2 behavioral changes every 1 or 2 weeks. When you start to make those little behavior changes, like substituting one meal for something else, or keeping a routine bedtime, even on the weekends, maybe starting a morning run, walk, or meditation. But adding those things to your routine a little at a time helps you focus on the process and not worry so much about what the outcome is. Come on in, Michelle. I hear you out there. My esteemed colleague Michelle has arrived. Hi.
I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries.
I'm on Cuban time. Did anybody ever hear about Cuban time?
I did. Well, did you bring Cuban food at least?
No, not this time, but I will next time, I promise.
I could definitely use some of that Cuban food. My Aunt Betty is, she's Cuban, her family, and man, on the holidays when they cook up, oh my word, it's hard to talk about nutrition when sometimes when you're eating it at their house or the holidays. It's tough.
I brought a lot of goodies for you today.
Oh boy, I
brought
like
some books. I brought a whole bunch of
oh boy,
pills.
Nice pills, good healthy pills. Allegedly,
a whole bunch.
Right.
All good. Well, these are a lot of things that, today's topic, I figured we can kind of talk about them, and you wanted to know what people were using and what was in them. And
yes, I am in, because I tell you, I just, I thought I was taking the right things, and then you start researching cheap vitamins and cheap supplements, then you go, oh no. And then you wind up in the health food store and you walk out $300-something later and go, so that's what real supplements and vitamins cost.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. There's some really good suppliers, and if you go through dietitians like me, I usually offer discounts because I get them, specially priced. So I offer that discount because my business is not based on supplements. But what I found is that because I do a lot of research.
I love this, the warrior in there. Sorry to cut you
Oh yeah,
off,
that's okay. I kind of know what to look for, and then I do my research, and I find out if they're a reputable company, how long have they been around. A lot of these vitamins, honestly, are just packaged, by some doctor, so-and-so, and they're making the same vitamins for 20 other people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Anyone in particular to stay away from?
No, not off the top of my head, I don't like to do that.
Okay, I'm just trying to put you on the spot there.
Yeah,
Get a little controversy, come on. Just a little bit.
I just think supplements in general are controversial. A lot of dietitians, honestly, they won't even go near that.
Why is that?
Because legally, they feel that there's not enough research on some vitamins, so they'll focus on the food. Whereas I practice more of a holistic approach. I take more of a holistic approach where it's mind, body, food, diet, that's all integral to how we're going to feel and to make that balance.
Okay. Yeah.
We spoke, I think, the first time, right? It's all about the balance.
Definitely.
So
there's a lot out there that just rely on the food to get the supplements for sure. I got a few messages and emails about that. Favoriting, we can find it in the food, but I mean, what happens though if you're throwing in 2 workouts a day? You're running in the morning, you're training in the afternoon, etc. I mean, how much food are we pounding? 2, I mean, is that where we should lean towards supplements? When should we start leaning?
What's the goal? I mean, so when someone like that comes to me, I'm like, all right, are you a 6'5" guy and you're trying to bulk up? Mm-hmm. Or are you trying to lose weight and that's why you're exercising so much? Okay. So I have to see what the motive is.
Yeah.
I have to know what that person's eating. A lot of times people come to me and they just want to eat a lot of protein. Mm-hmm. Now, protein is really, really important. And we were talking about food cravings. Here's a great book, by the way, I'll talk about.
Okay.
About food cravings. And protein is essential for a lot of people who suffer from depression, for example, bipolar, ADHD.
Really?
Because what it does is it helps to establish the serotonin and dopamine development, right?
Sure.
And tryptophan. Tryptophan,
right.
we know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we don't produce tryptophan. So tryptophan comes from the protein we eat, which then breaks down in our body and forms, the serotonin and a lot of the other neurotransmitters.
Okay.
So when our levels are low, let's say we have a sugar craving, right? What's the first thing we have? We have these sugar cravings. Mm-hmm. And when you're depressed, what you sit by the TV and you...
It's a stimulant.
And you eat because you get these endorphins from this great ice cream that you're eating. You eat a nice bar of chocolate.
Right.
What it does is several things. First of all, let's say if you're eating chocolate has protein, chocolate has fat, it can be a little salty. So these all attack all of those sensories for the endorphin channel. What it also does is it helps with that protein process, and it increases that production of endorphins. So it kind of gives it a false alarm. The way that we fix those cravings is by taking protein. Like it could be a half a cup of cottage cheese, it could be an egg, it could be turkey, chicken,
So
tuna.
like almonds or nuts even may
Yeah,
subside
almonds
a craving for
yeah.
sugar.
I do a really cool mix that I learned when I was really young from a holistic doctor up in Woodstock, New York, where I grew up. And he said you take a mix of unsalted or salted, depending on what your needs are, sunflower seeds, some pinola nuts or pine nuts, not too many, just a few almonds, and currants, not raisins, but currants, which are the really tiny little raisins.
Yeah.
You mix that up and you have a little mix. And you actually chew that and you get like a glucose type of effect. It's a really nice sugar rush, but it also has a protein.
So it keeps that sugar craving down.
Because remember, when we get all these cravings, what's also being affected are blood sugar levels. Like, I deal often with people who are recovering from, for example, alcoholism. And they're like, whoa, what am I have these cravings for sugar. And I'm like, well, you know what they say, you scratch an alcoholic, you usually find a diabetic or someone who's borderline with diabetes.
Sure.
And what we have to do is small, frequent meals, just like if you were training.
Oh, so you definitely don't want the threes. So.
Right, exactly. And you don't want to skip meals.
Because when you start, when
So
you start talking, I see,
right? Like
I started playing chess when you started talking about how the lack of protein causes depression. Then you look at people that are living below poverty level that have this assumption that all they can afford is cheap carbohydrate type stuff.
Right, which is making them more depressed.
Right, so then they just pack on the weight, they eat cheap food and wonder why they stay depressed.
Right, I mean, because most of the carbs are going to be your pastas. What do you crave when you crave carbs? You crave bread, you crave potatoes, you crave pasta. Right?
Yeah.
And then you get the sweets category. And that affects your blood sugar levels. So everything is just, intertwined. Salt dependency, or you crave salt.
Yeah, see, that's me. I'm a crazy salt freak.
Okay.
I could go without chocolate for years, no problem. Put a bag of sunflower seeds in front of me and we're in trouble.
Okay, so you want to know why you crave the salt, or
Yes.
some of the theories behind it?
Okay.
Is because of adrenal insufficiency, where you have a lot of stress, okay, which can cause it. And sometimes the adrenals, what happens is they release a lot of sodium in the urine. So here we are, our body's craving what we don't, even though we're eating salt, we have processed foods, we're eating maybe potato chips or salty, adding salt in our food or our vegetables and whatnot. We're still not getting enough because our body's not being able to assimilate that properly. So we end up having that craving. And what we can do is, change our diet, change our stress, which you would be able to help people with, for example, right, is to modify that. Like I try to teach people about mindfulness and meditation, because I think that that's extremely important in overall just calming down our system, learning appropriate behaviors. If we're not calm, you can't teach someone.
That's right.
Right?
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I was telling some of the people watching, my family and I about 2 months ago started the process of changing, and as of about a week ago, we're all fully organic, Monday through Saturday, and then we have our Sunday cheat day. So it's been tremendous since we've made that full transition. I mean, I was telling them how much better I felt. It's amazing, when you start changing.
You lost some weight.
A lot.
Right? Yeah, because I can
about
I can
194 now. I haven't seen that since my junior year in high school.
Don't lose it too fast.
Well, I dropped it all pretty quick in about 3 months. About 3 months, I went 30 light. I just got tired of being big. I lifted a lot. I had a lot of weights. I was always jacked up, and I liked that. But I played ball for so long that my joints were starting to hurt. My, from lifting all that weight.
We can talk about what supplements
fish oil?
I have. No. I have something better. Joint Aston. Okay, so these products, this comes, you'll notice it's glass, first of all, right? So I always like to buy anything, whether it be food or vitamins, in glass bottles, because the plastics often release different chemicals, just like if you
cars
buy,
too.
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So the glass actually is a really good form of protecting your vitamins and keeping them long term, right? This product is called Derma Aston, and this one that I was showing you is called Joint Aston. And what they have is something called a xanthian. Okay, a xanthian, it's for those of you out there, it's ASTAXANTHIN. Okay, And what that is a blue-green algae
Okay.
form. This is the form I use.
All right.
Okay? Instead of fish oil, because this is my whole thing. Now I'm not gonna go that way, but fish oil comes from what fish? Primarily cold water salmon.
You're gonna say mercury, aren't you?
Mercury, and we had the radioactivity stuff going on with
sure.
Japan.
Sure.
And there's poisons and toxins, and how do we know if it's farmed fish?
All right, Michelle, you're killing me. All right, I'm get rid of the fish oil. Note to self. I thought I was all fancy doing it right here.
So what I found is Aston. So this product comes from Hawaii. It's organic, right? I don't have my glasses on, but it's natural Hawaiian bioastin. It's vegetarian. It's organic. There's no gluten, no lactose, no preservatives, no solvents. What it does actually is the same thing. It also has a mix of a couple of other things like vitamin D, flaxseed oil, which is also vegetarian, and Boswellia serrata extract, which is an herb. What they all do is promote decreased inflammation. Okay, because some people can't take glucosaminochondroitin because they have shellfish allergies.
Right.
They don't want to go there. They have reactions. So I found this to be a really good product, and I actually tested it with my father, who has rheumatoid arthritis, and he has been doing really well. Not saying that it's not a cure, but it alleviates a lot of the symptoms that he was feeling. Sometimes he would have really swollen joints.
You're talking about hands, and that means a lot to me. My hands numb out a lot. I use them a lot in my day for things that I do, but I spend a lot of time lifting weights and some fighting, punching, etc. And I still train that, so a lot of contact with my hands. I have a bone that's broken that never got fixed. So I get numbness, the carpal tunnel, you know, that numbness, but all the joints start to hurt. But for those of you looking, if you wanted to see it, that's it there.
Yeah, the company that I like to use is called Nutrex, N-U-T-R-E-X, and they're out of Hawaii.
Okay. I've heard a lot of good supplements coming out of Hawaii,
Yeah,
actually.
so they have, what I enjoyed about going to their website was they have tons and tons of research. I forgot to bring their book. I have a book that they sent me.
Okay, and that's Nutrex, N-U-T-R-E-X.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I really, really like them. The one that they have, how I got started was I used to fly back and forth a lot from where I was living to down here, and I didn't want that exposure from the sun, you know, the radioactivity from the sun. So I kind of Googled, what can I take? And they actually said azanthian. So that's how I found this, you know, product, this, you know, vitamin.
So you literally have to eat the algae itself to get that?
Well, they process it. You don't taste anything.
No, but I mean, if, say, I wanted to find this in food, I would literally have to eat the algae.
Spirulina is one of the great forms of algae. It has protein, which is also a good source if you're trying to replenish your protein or balance it out in your day, maybe putting that into a shake.
Yeah, well, now that we're talking about protein, you know, I've switched over from the whey proteins, and I've moved to hemp powder protein, which I actually buy at onnit.com, ONNIT.com, and it's hemp force protein powder, and I've switched to that, and well, my wife's thanking me. The insides don't do what they used to do.
Sure.
It seems to break it down. What's the? I mean, why is the? Do you know that or understand that difference?
Because the other protein is a whey protein,
like a dairy protein,
like
right?
a dairy, right? And a lot of people today suffer from a lactose intolerance, and we all know we spoke about gluten intolerance the last time.
Right.
But a lactose intolerance, and even though they say it's lactose-free and things, you can still be sensitive to those isolates of protein, and it could be a little bit too tough.
Now we switched to almond milk now.
Right.
That's what we're drinking now
milk,
for the dairy.
I mean, there's coconut milk, there's rice milk, so there's a lot of different types of milk out there.
Yeah.
Some people just do fine with lactate milk. I have a lot of patients who still do, you know, a dairy, but they'll do lactate milk because they want that consistency and they like that taste. So, you know, you have to find what works. Okay, I don't want to have somebody who's not used to drinking almond milk, or maybe they have a nut allergy, right? Or they can't, or they don't like rice. That taste, it's very watery. Rice milk is extremely like liquid. It's like water.
It's rice juice. It's like soy milk. So, you can't have that.
So you have to find what works for someone, and I just want to eliminate those symptoms by finding out what the root cause is.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely switching to that has helped a lot, just in that protein. Now, I've heard a lot of negative stuff about dairy. about almost staying away from it for some reasons. I mean, what are some of the main implications of dairy?
I mean, a lot of the dairy that's processed today comes from cows who are injected and have hormones and they're treated. But what I found out was in Florida, the Florida dairy cows, they're actually not treated with hormones and they're separated.
Mm-hmm.
This is what someone from the Dairy Council told us at a meeting once, that they're separated and then they're treated with the antibiotics, but not all the cows are.
Okay.
So for the state of Florida, I can say that much.
Okay.
And a lot of the milk in the country does come from us because we stay warm most of the year. We do have a lot of cattle. But, everyone some people create mucus, some people create this inflammation within themselves, but again, it's a balance. I mean, I don't remember as a kid drinking milk and having all these problems or hearing about all these issues.
Right.
So what has changed? I think our whole total diet has changed. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm not going to say it's bad, but too much of anything. If
Sure.
all you're doing is eating, like you said, if you're low income and you can't afford a lot, well, a bowl of cereal and milk might be all that you have.
Yep. And that's a myth to itself, the fact that eating healthy means eating expensive.
Right.
When you weigh it out, I may spend cheaper on the cheap processed food. Yeah, I get a lot of it. But if you cut your portions and eat like you're supposed to, the healthy salad with the organic stuff you buy could even be cheaper than that a load of stuff that you're buying, not to mention how sick you may get, your doctor's visits. When you incorporate all that into a bad diet, eating nutritiously and organic far outweighs even the cost,
Right. But one thing I want to mention, because I do work with a lot of people who are on a fixed budget.
Sure.
Okay, they just came out of rehab. They're living on their disability checks. Vets coming back, they can't find a job. So what I found is that there's a lot of opportunities at farmers markets for people to get, for the elderly, for example, they can get these food stamps for farmers markets, and farmers markets will accept these certificates.
Oh,
they
right.
have to apply for them, and
What do they apply? Is that a government
so
thing?
that's Department of Agriculture.
So at Department of Agriculture, you can
Right,
apply
you can go
for
to their
a food
website,
I love that.
and you can look for that. Look up farmers market.
You can actually
in your
get
state.
food stamps for farmers markets, people.
Yes, and that's a nice way of introducing some really nice fresh vegetables and fruits into your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I go back to frozen because not everybody, but you can buy a lot of organic frozen vegetables.
Yeah.
Right, and you can pick and choose certain things like bananas. Honestly, you got to peel the banana. Does it really matter, in my opinion, if it's organic or not?
Right.
You peel it because most of the chemicals are going to be out, and that's a really thick skin.
Right.
Same with apples. Not everybody can afford organic because they're expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at a little bag, and they can be like $6 for like six.
Yeah, and we're in love with
apples.
the ambrosia apples too.
Oh, those
so
are good.
Yeah, they're good. They're
I
not
love
cheap.
all apples. I'm from the Hudson Valley, apple country. So we would just go and pick the apples, and we would see holes in them because worms went inside, and that was a really great indication that they were not sprayed.
Because they still had. That's
Because
good.
it still
And
had
I
them.
spent my afternoons eating oranges because I would, as a kid, go out into the
Yeah.
woods all day. We tangerine trees, orange trees. So I spent my time just coming up eating oranges for lunch most of the time.
Right, and again, that's a thick skin. So for those people who can't buy organic, that's another good fruit. Has a lot of vitamin C, which is a great immune enhancer, right?
Yeah.
And it's also calming. A lot of times for stress, we deplete our vitamin C stores.
Big time.
Which, let me see here.
Yeah,
so,
we can move to the vitamin C because
so
I
here's
just
another
learned
vitamin
something.
C that I found in powder form. So there's tablets, so there's ester C, which is ESC.
That's what I just bought.
C, yes, that's the great tablet form.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do more than 3,000 milligrams, watch out because you will have diarrhea for the most part, most people, yeah. So it's a great laxative.
I've been pounding some vitamin C. I beat a sickness over the weekend, I got from a friend. But, I learned with the ester C, I didn't know the difference between vitamin C. I was buying the cheaper stuff, and then the lady at the health food store, Health Foods up there, was a great lady, started to tell me about how the ester C attaches to the membranes. What's the difference there of the cheap vitamin C and this that's attaching to cells and membranes?
Okay, so let's go back. So some people can only afford the regular vitamin C, and then some of us can afford the ester C. Is there that much of a difference? There is a little bit of a difference, but I don't think it's significant enough. I think vitamin C overall, this one's not ester C, by the way.
Which one's that?
This one I get from a company called Health Force. that's out in the Midwest, and they're all organic, again, all natural. And the reason why I chose this was because it's great for detoxing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, powder absorbs readily into water. So one of the first ways I look at when I look at any kind of vitamin is I say, well, how are you going to absorb it? And some people absorb much better, especially if they don't have problems with their GI system, their stomachs or their intestines. They absorb it better, as a pill. Right. Oh. And then powder, and then we have liquids. And then we also have sublingual forms.
Oh,
they're all like very different, right?
Mm-hmm. And what was that Health Force? Was the truly...
So it's truly natural vitamin C. It's buffered, which I find to be more important because buffered means it's not so acidic, so it's not going to make you have an upset stomach. And that's what the ester C also does. It's buffered usually for the most part, and it doesn't irritate our stomachs.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have a big meal with them when you're taking them.
Right. I mean, I recommend always taking vitamins or any medications unless your doctor has stated otherwise with some food or snack. You could take it with a snack. A snack's a bridge between two meals.
Sure.
Right? So you could take vitamins at that time too. Maybe have your little pill box when you take certain things. Or this is something that you could take. We're all very dehydrated for the most part, right? You know how much water we're supposed to take.
What is it now?
Okay, so the rule of thumb is you take your body weight in pounds. So if someone's 100 pounds, I'm really bad at math. So 100 pounds, divide that in half, we have 50, and that's 50 ounces of water.
A day?
A day.
What?
Yeah, and that's a combination. Yeah.
So I'm basically 200 pounds for easy math. That means I got to drink
100 ounces, but that's going to be, and that's more than 8 glasses of water.
Yeah,
right?
That's a lot more.
But that could also be if you have fruits.
Okay, so count all the water intake from everything.
All the water intake, right? And it's not an exact science, but for the most part, most of us are dehydrated.
Sure.
Water is really, for me, it is like a challenge. I sometimes walk around with my water bottle.
My mom has that problem. If you offer my mother water, her response, I don't touch this stuff. Yeah. That's her response.
Right.
And I thought, it's your main liquid. How can you not drink that?
Right.
Some people just are off of it.
I have to put lemon juice.
Right, my wife's starting to do that, and we go to the gym sometimes, and I forget. And I grab her water, I'm like, oh, God, that's awful.
Yeah, I love it. That's it. Lime or lemon juice. Because coffee, you're drinking coffee, right?
Yeah.
So coffee...
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, coffee is a dehydrator.
Yeah.
So a little bit of coffee actually isn't bad, because it does stimulate your cyclic AMP, which helps you metabolize.
There's some good things in coffee, right?
When you're going to work out, right? They say have a little bit of black coffee.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I had a teacher who said that, have a little bit of black coffee.
So before you work out, have a little black coffee?
A little black coffee. It also stimulates some people's bowels, right? Drinking some coffee,
Definitely.
Right? It's a stimulant.
Yeah.
I mean, people do coffee enemas. They don't drink it, but
What?
And they,
do they sell that at Starbucks?
Actually,
A coffee enema.
No, well, an enema. Okay, because I have dealt with cancer in my life.
Oh.
Not myself, but my late husband. We had gone through different holistic processes, and one of them was actually doing a coffee enema, where you heat up coffee, but it's organic coffee.
Wow.
And you dilute it and you brew it a certain way, okay? So that way it still has all of its potency. All right.
Wow.
And you put it in the enema bag, and you provide the person with an enema, and it helps to detox because it's a liver detox.
Coffee's a liver detox.
Yeah, if you do it that way, not
drinking it. Oh, okay.
Right, drinking it can be kind of bad, right?
Yeah.
But if someone has ADHD, what do they tell them to do? Drink a little bit of caffeine. Isn't that true? Because it helps you focus. It helps you.
Why do you think I have coffee on the show, Michelle?
Okay.
I'm sorry, in the fridge actually.
Okay. But seriously, right? So there are benefits. It's anything in excess, just like dairy, right? A little dairy. I like cheese. I'm not gonna ever give up my cheese.
Dairy kills me.
Okay.
Kills me.
I can't give up my cheese. I like yogurt, but I don't go overboard. Everything's
I have no problem giving up the dairy.
So I'm trying to say, okay, so I showed you this one. What's
we walk down some of the ones I'm taking, and it seems to be popping up.
Okay, did you ever hear of L-theanine?
Nope, but I'm about to.
Okay, so this is natural.
What is it?
L-theanine, T-A-L like in Larry, T-H-E-A-N-I-N-E. Okay. And
I'm not going to pronounce that. L-theanine.
L-theanine.
Theanine. Okay,
Yep.
L-theanine. Okay, L-theanine.
And that is a product where the person who had recommended to me, the practitioner, said it's like natural Xanax.
Oh.
So it calms you down. It's legal. It's not illegal. Okay. You take about up to 400 milligrams a day. It's usually
throughout the day.
No, for your total.
For the day.
For the day. These are 200
like an
milligrams.
anti-anxiety almost?
So yeah, so it calms you down, and I have to say it really works. Because a lot of times...
Marijuana works good for that too.
Well, we're not going to talk about that. I don't do that. But this is something where you can integrate, okay, it into your vitamins. Especially if you have adrenal dysfunction, where
now, would it
you're
slow
stressed.
somebody down throughout the day taking that? Too much maybe, or you just got to figure it out?
I don't think it slows you down. What it does is it kind of chills you out.
Take the edge off.
Yeah, it takes the edge off.
Interesting.
And it's not like you were saying marijuana, which is probably more of a very rapid effect.
Mm-hmm.
This takes time to get into your system.
And that's natural?
And that's natural. Yeah, that's natural.
I like that. And
that's natural.
Let's see, Nutritional Frontiers, is that who makes it?
There's a lot of different companies. That's just one company that I kind of became associated with, and they sold that product, and I liked it. It's a small little pill. I don't like to swallow big things, so that's like a nice little pill.
Now I've heard, I take magnesium too,
Mm-hmm.
and now I've heard magnesium can take the edge off and kind of make you a little sleepy almost kind of throughout the day. Now,
what about this?
No,
you probably like this one, right?
Now here's my question though with magnesium. I've learned something, and you got to tell me if this is bunk, if this is true or not.
Right.
Now what I read was there's multiple kinds of magnesium, but magnesium that bonds to oxide is not okay. And then there's magnesium that bonds to something else, or what's the difference between...
I mean, there's magnesium oxide. I'm not too familiar with that,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want to really comment on the magnesium. I'm trying to think, what form do they have here? They have magnesium, and then they do L-threonate. So this is magnesium, 2,000 milligrams, and they bond it with something else. Like calcium's also bonded with lactate and gluconate.
But no oxide stuff there.
Right, but no oxide.
See,
right.
and if you're suggesting that, I'm going to go with laying off the magnesium oxide.
This product I got from a company called Life Extension. They're out of Fort Lauderdale, I believe. But their website is lef.org.
lef.org.
They sell a lot of different products, all right? They're a reputable company. They have a lot of scientific research. They have a magazine that they put out that I really like that really focuses on different products and pills and processes. They deal with a lot of different illnesses. You can go on their website. You can even get blood tests. You can order blood tests from them.
Wow, okay. That's a good place to start.
They have a sale
too.
a couple times a year, and you get 50% off, which is nice if you don't have health insurance.
Yeah.
And let's say you need to know what your cholesterol levels are, and you need to know what your thyroid levels are. These sites are good because they go to Quest Labs, so you're going to a reputable lab. You're not going to some lab shop that just opened up and you're paying $5. Well, you don't know how they do their assays for their blood and how, their calibration of their equipment and things like that. So I always recommend going to either Quest or LabCorp.
I think that is so helpful for people. And that was, what was the website?
So LEF.
LEF.org. And you can test your thyroid, blood test, all of those.
All that kind of stuff there. And they have a lot of research, and you can Google their articles. I mean, just really, you can become a member and get discounts on everything as well.
Okay.
It's $50 and you get this great magazine. But this product is called NeuroMag, and it supports cognitive function and bone health. And it's a powder.
Okay.
And it actually doesn't taste bad. I take that.
The cognitive functioning part I like. I wonder what part of that supplement is triggering the cognitive enhancement.
I want to say it's the magnesium
itself. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Usually magnesium, zinc, vitamin B6, the B complexes, all of those are for stimulate, and they're really helpful. Along with like the omegas.
Yeah.
Right? So the xanthan could be a product. Some flaxseed oil I prefer, again, because I don't know where that fish oil is coming from. Cod liver oil is one of the old favorites. Again, but you don't know where the fish is coming from. Everything's so freaking toxic.
It is nowadays.
That I'm concerned, even if somebody guarantees it, I don't know if the batch is the same.
Yeah, ask Dr. Oz. Even if they guarantee it, right? There's... so the magnesium we're taking for cognitive functioning. What else? More specific.
Decrease stress. It helps to decrease cravings.
Okay, the magnesium will decrease the carb craving,
the carb
right?
cravings, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So magnesium decreases carb.
Right, but you always have to have magnesium with calcium or with another component.
Okay, and try to stay away from the oxide. I'm saying that, she's not saying that, but I'll say the magnesium oxide to stay away from, because this one doesn't
No, it doesn't
bond
have
to that
oxide.
either.
Right, it has something else. Yeah, I'm just not.
Yeah, I just learned
on top of that, so I don't want to give the wrong information to anyone. So that one I'm not sure.
A new one we started taking. I am a dramatic fan of a woman named Dr. Rhonda Patrick, bioengineer, blah blah blah, genius. Anyway, she's done tons and tons of research on vitamin D. And all of these, I mean, from depression to everything else, and how we lack it so much. Mm-hmm. And so we started taking a vitamin D supplement as well. Is that up here, and yes. Why? And
okay, so I have.
I'm scoring good so far. Everything we take is on here. So
there's vitamin D in an oil base, and that's really good because it's absorbed.
I deleted the picture. I had a picture of which one it was because I wanted to bring it to you. To see if it was okay.
This one, just so you can, this is the one I take. You can put out so you can try. Just so you can see in your viewers. So this, here, I'll take one. There we go. Okay. So you just put it under your tongue, and it should dissolve pretty quickly.
Wow.
What do you think?
It's better than the
so
pill I'm swallowing.
This is 5,000 units.
Okay.
Because I have a deficiency. Believe it or not, like, deficiencies are really running rampant.
Yeah, and my wife, I believe, has a vitamin D deficiency. And from what I'm learning from Rhonda Patrick, oh my, it's implicated in mental health, everything.
Everything, depression, psychosis, low thyroid, cancer, diabetes, everything.
Yeah.
Because vitamin D is one of the it's a hormone.
Oh, we're supposed to get it from being in the sun, like the human species.
I know.
But we spend our lives covered from the sun.
And we have to use sunscreen.
Right.
And we're working so much to pay for all of these wonderful material things that we have, right? That we don't go outside. I mean, we live here in Florida, and how many times do we really go to the beach?
That's the truth. I'm down the street from it, and I rarely visit it. I'm outside a lot myself anyway, doing other things, but it's true. I mean, if I go a week or two without my primal activity, without kayaking for hours or fishing or whatever, I am a mess. Like, my wife will order me, you go fishing now, tomorrow, get out of here. So that sun really affects me. I grew up in the sun, playing outside. Nature does that to me, and I wonder, that generation, they're almost afraid of outside, like freaking vampires, So I mean, I don't know.
So, but this is just, I like things easy. So these are one of the vitamins I usually offer to my patients, especially older patients who can't swallow, maybe patients who have some adversity to taking any pills. So I do a lot in sublinguals. I do B12 this way. I didn't bring my other ones, but I do B12, I do vitamin D.
What's the name of that company there?
This is Superior Source.
Superior Source?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that they have a website on them? Or?
They do. Yeah, there's a website.
I'm guessing superiorsource.com.
Yeah, I would think so. And they have tons of them, and you can find them in health food stores, or you can go to my website and ask me for them. So
I think the one that I bought said vitamin D3 on it. Is what it said.
That's what they say.
That's the same thing.
That's the active form that you want to have. Where's another one? Okay, wait, let me get
let's go here. That's an awesome name.
Okay, so Warrior. So this is a saying, or from the people who do that. Yeah, and then
the Health Force again.
I got this one too, intestinal movement, which we'll talk about, because that is super important. So Warrior Endurance. So this they recommend for people. I'll tell you what's in it. It's a whole. They're very holistic and into herbs. So this is organic. It's made from the nopal cactus, which they say is really good for people who have diabetes or to stabilize blood sugar. They even put here for hangover recovery and for stamina, because what happens when you have a hangover?
You're really in withdrawal.
Sugar, right.
And people think a hangover is a hangover dehydration.
So
but
I personally have not tried this, but they do say here for blood sugar, insulin, cholesterol, bowel, liver, and immune system functions.
Wow.
And when I went on the site and I did the research, it's pretty incredible what this cactus unleashes. I mean, it is a really nice product. You have to take 6 of these pills a day to get the effect.
Okay.
So and this is not for somebody who doesn't like to take pills.
Now I started taking just a daily mushroom. It's not Shroom Tech, but Shroom Tech is another one from onit.com. But it's a different mushroom, a few different mushrooms, just for immune health boosters is what I'm doing. Just organic mushroom stuff.
Do you do the liquid
pills.
or the pills?
Yeah, the pills, crushed up pills. I mean, not mushrooms per se like you're thinking out there, okay? All right, I'm
Not this time, not this time. So then I'm going to talk about intestinal movement, because one of my favorite topics is talking about your bowel movements.
No, let's talk about shit.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about shit, because the way you go to the bathroom tells everything.
It's true.
Okay?
Yeah, it does.
So you have a floater, you have a sinker. So floaters have a lot of oil, right? So they float to the top. So that means that you're not processing your foods properly. So there's something going on in your stomach. Maybe you have celiac disease, and you're just not processing any of your foods right now. And you don't know that you have it, or you have it, and you're just not eating properly. So you may not be absorbing that. Maybe your gallbladder is taken out. That's another reason. Maybe it's not working properly. Maybe your liver's not functioning properly, so you're going to have more floaters. Because all those organs process cholesterol and fat.
Okay.
Okay? Some people have soft serve ice cream. Okay?
I'm visual, Michelle.
Okay?
You're killing me.
So soft serve ice cream. So that indicates either a gluten or more of a lactose intolerance. Okay? When it's like
now
that.
I know I don't eat dairy.
All right?
Okay.
So that's what happens.
You're checking off stuff here.
All right? Then you got pebble poo.
Yeah, the rabbit, rabbit and deer shit.
Right. Little pebble poo.
I do, right.
So that indicates dehydration and lack of fiber in your diet. So probably someone who experiences that doesn't drink enough water or good fluids.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not eating properly, they're skipping meals, or not having enough vegetables and or fruits, because those both have fiber.
Yeah.
All right. So
it's struggling to come out.
Yeah. So or some people have IBS. You know,
yes,
IBS, right?
I see that to be prevalent amongst a lot of people in my family. A few of my family members suffer from that at certain points. But I mean, how much of that is genetic, and how much of that's your diet?
You know what? It's 50-50. I think it's stress. I think it's environmental.
Sure.
I don't think it has to necessarily run in your family, but you maybe have that gene. We're going to talk about genetics, right?
Yeah,
so you may
there.
have that precursor, and then you just flipped on that trigger for that gene because now you have all the stress, and whoa, yeah.
It's why it's the indicator of how healthy you are. Right. Covers all facets.
And for those of the viewers who don't know what IBS, it's irritable bowel syndrome. Okay. And it's usually vacillates between diarrhea and constipation. Sometimes some people have more constipation versus diarrhea, or they have one or the other. Right. But they don't have normal bowel movements, not consistent.
And that's just everything clogged up in your intestines,
right.
Everything just backed up.
Because it's not normal not to go to the bathroom. I'm going to look. It's not normal not to go to the bathroom for a week. That is not normal.
So a week is the abnormal. 4 or 5 days typical?
No, you should be going twice a day.
Twice? Seriously?
Twice a day.
And that's universal.
And that's universal.
That's not...
Think about how much food you eat.
Sure.
Think about a little baby. Okay?
Now, what's happening if somebody's not using the bathroom once a day? If every 3 days, maybe, if they're lucky?
So all of that stays within their bowels. And what do we have in our bowels? We have bacteria. And that bacteria is fermenting. And it's going to cause a lot of flatulence or farts, right?
Right.
So that flatulence causes sometimes the gas, and then they feel uncomfortable, and they get the bloating.
Right.
The distended stomach.
I wonder how much of that is a diet, or how much is I mean, is it obviously it's a play of all.
It's just everything. So what I recommend, a couple of things. So we got probiotics.
Sure.
So this company that I like comes out of Japan. It's called Dr. Ohira's probiotic blend. It is expensive. This one is expensive.
Now, is that the refrigerator probiotic?
No,
now, I heard also that it's
shelf stable.
Okay, I heard that it's only worth it if they're in the fridge.
No.
That's false.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to just logically. Let's think about it.
Okay.
So they package this. They process it. They leave it on the shelf before it goes on the truck to go to the whatever store or wherever it's going, right? Whatever warehouse it's going to be distributed at.
Yeah.
Do you really think that they keep it refrigerated all the time?
That's
honestly.
going to be sure.
Okay, I've seen milk.
Could it be worse than if it should be refrigerated and is not?
And it's not,
and you're buying it out of the fridge.
All right, and then it's refrigerated. So I never ever recommend refrigerated vitamins.
Putting the myths to bed.
Because I don't know. There's no guarantee. I'm not saying that they're bad, but for me, there's no guarantee that when it comes out of that plant, that it's continuously cold.
Sure.
Because you know how I know? Because I see milk. I've worked in hospitals for many, many years. And I go into the kitchens, and what do I see? Milk sometimes sitting outside in crates. Not for 5 minutes.
For all day.
Yeah. And then they put it in the refrigerator, and then they wonder why people get sick.
Oh my word.
Okay.
Sure.
So I would be
That's
like,
good
you
to
gotta
know.
put that in there.
That's the first I heard that. So remind you, it's not necessarily refrigerated.
Right. So that was my logical deduction. I don't know if that's true or not, but for me,
makes
that was
sense
the
to me.
argument I made.
Makes sense to me. Sure.
So then I started looking into different vitamins. Well, my late husband had cancer, as I mentioned, and we had gone to the specialist in Manhattan who was a holistic doctor. And one of the things he did say that was very true were about these particular probiotics, all right? I'm going to try to take one out. You can see. So they are encased in like a gel cap, right?
Yeah.
And I gave these to my late husband throughout the time he was sick, even in the hospice, until he couldn't take any more food. And I will never forget the doctor who was coming in to look at him. You know, he's on the morphine drip, so he was already sleeping. But he opened up and he looked in his oral cavity and he's like, "Oh my God." I said, "Holy shit, what's wrong?" I'm saying to myself, "What is wrong now? Like, my poor husband is dying." And he said, "No, it's what I don't see. I don't see thrush, which is the white yeast that usually accumulates when someone is dying and everything is breaking down." And I said, that's because of the probiotics.
I appreciate you recapping a sensitive story about that,
you know,
but that's
but I find that's the truth. I mean, I really believe that, and I have been taking this for a long time.
Yeah, we're about to buy some new ones. We ran out, so
here's
we'll be
here's a box for you.
What?
Yeah, that's a gift.
Oh, I'm
that's
hooked up.
That's a box. That's a box for you.
Thank you.
But, you know, they are pretty expensive when you go on the outside. So if you do go on my website, just email me or something like that.
Tell them your website, too. So
it's thevirtualrds.com. So or if you don't put in the, it's V, like in Victor, IRTUALSRDS.com.
All right.
And they can find out or email me because I don't have all my products up yet. But that's just something, again, I'm just trying to get out good products at a good price.
Yeah.
Because I'm not making money off of it. It's really just to have a place where people can rely on, again, a good product and not have to go searching.
Because it's difficult. There's so much. I mean, we're inundated. The market is flooded.
Now this thing, I call them my green pills. So my kids know, or my husband now knows, Mark knows, if anyone's sick, what do? I say green pill time. I give them 2 green pills. We chew them, and it helps to take that stomachache away. Yeah.
Really?
So let's backtrack a bit. So here we are. Someone hasn't gone to the bathroom. They have the bad bacteria, that bad flora, that is just fermenting all their poop in there and all the stuff that they've eaten and causing the gas. Well, they have good bacteria, good flora. That is going to help break it down and push it along. Because sometimes people have slow motility. So their intestines are not moving as well as they should be.
Is that how intestines move? Is that how
they move like I'm doing the salsa. No, but they do move down.
Yeah.
And some people have diverticulitis, which is sometimes when food gets caught in the pockets with the diverticuli and it causes inflammation. It's very, very painful.
Yes.
But if they maintain good bowel movements, they decrease the times that they have to go through that, the episodes that they, experience.
I mean, everything's leaning toward that gut. I mean, taking care of the gut inside with the probiotics all of it. I think people forget that. You know, I'm still stuck on the idea that twice a day. I mean, I feel better. But I think about people that I do know that struggle. They could go 2-3 days without using the restroom, and they're wondering, what's up, what's wrong, what's happening here, what's something I can do.
Right. Diarrhea though isn't good. So you go into the bathroom.
So it's even worse if you go 2-3 days without it. Then when you do, it's liquid.
Yeah, and then
or
it's
pebbles.
liquid, right? Or pebbles. So it's all about balance. So some people need a little help. That's okay. All right, we need a little help. So exercise helps tremendously. Reduces stress.
I think people forget exercise,
decreases,
how much.
Even just walking after your meal, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, You know, just walking is really good. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like weightlifting and going to the gym for an hour on a spin class. No, just something really relaxing.
Yeah.
But doing
I was telling.
acts.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was telling the viewers, respect the process. It's a change. Don't do everything at once. Slowly implement a few changes along the way. And one of those for me that I implemented was getting up at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. And I don't run per se. I walk. I walk my daughter to the bus stop. She's driving now. Oh my God. Yeah, beware. But I don't set out to run or anything. But that's my meditation time in the morning. So it's not. I don't get up like, all right, it's time to work out and train. I just walk, and if I feel like jogging, I do. But that small change of 6 a.m. walk meditation in the morning will have ripples down down the line. Wonderful effects. So we went to vitamin D. We covered the fish oil, which is now gone.
I want to just mention about my intestinal movement formula.
Okay.
Okay. So this is not habit forming, but it is a mixture of different herbs. And let me tell you, if you have knock-on or you have problems going, you take a couple of these, and by the next day, you have a nice movement.
Like that, huh?
Yeah, so it's really, really good.
Because I've seen people try everything from Mucinex to all these, or not Mucinex, but what's
Dopalax.
Dopalax
or collates. I mean, there's collates, there's senna, there's teas that people will take.
Right.
You just have to be careful, first of all, that they're not addictive, because a lot of times, I don't know if any of your viewers experience eating disorders, and a lot of times they never have the sensation that they're empty. So they abuse laxatives.
Okay, yeah,
right?
sure.
So I don't prescribe laxatives to anyone. I don't think, they have their place in emergency situations, but it's really, you don't want to do X-Lax, a box of X-Lax, and I have patients who have abused it that way.
Wow. Okay?
But we can do probiotics. Those are natural. Those are going to help your body find its niche
and
its rhythm. The intestinal movement is more for people who have issues going to the bathroom, like with IBS.
Sure.
All right. Then I have patients with Crohn's disease, and Crohn's disease is genetic, bad. Right? That's also now Crohn's disease. I know is definitely genetic, but what I've also been hearing is sometimes when you let IBS or irritable bowel get out of control,
it can turn
into Crohn's.
Holy gosh, and
right?
That's something you definitely don't want to deal with.
Right, and I'm like, wow, because I've had a couple of patients with Crohn's, and they said no one in their family has it.
So they just blossomed into having Crohn's disease from IBS.
From IBS.
Holy shit.
And I have a few patients who have different eating disorders, and because they didn't eat properly, and then they tried to eat properly, they developed IBS and all this stuff, and then it developed into Crohn's. So it's something that you have to be.
You gotta take your shit serious.
You gotta take your shit serious.
You gotta take your shit serious,
At least once a day.
Okay. I like that.
Twice a day.
So that's intestinal movement formula at Health Force again. Yeah, definitely look that up. Intestinal movement. That's big in big in your life. Now, what's something here that people may not know about? Something new.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pick out something new because I got this at Trader Joe's, and if you don't have a Trader Joe's, it's okay. You can find it's papaya and pineapple enzymes.
Okay.
All right. They're sweet little tablets. I'll open it up. They're tiny. They're small.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're better than Tums. Any Tums you can take. A lot of times when people who are cooks, what will they use to tenderize their meats? Papaya, pineapple.
That's right.
And they'll put it on top, or they'll do orange juice, right? Or something
citrus.
to kind of to break down those enzymes. Huh. So this is a natural way of getting rid of that upset stomach.
Instead of chalking down the chalk.
Yeah, because all those Tums is not healthy. That can also cause constipation for some people.
So if they're eating Tums 2-3 times a day and you're constipated, you know why.
Yeah, you know why. And also, this is pretty cheap. This was about $5 at Trader Joe's. But again, you can buy it at Walgreens, CVS. It's innocuous. I mean, it's just, papaya, natural papaya, and pineapple.
Yeah.
And that's all you're looking at. And it's no calories, so we don't have to do that. But it has bromelain, which comes from pineapple, papain, which comes from papaya, and then mycosine, which I think comes from a mushroom or something like that. And, and those are the enzymes that they use. So
I like that.
That formula, but
I've
had
Trader
other ones,
Joe's,
but sometimes I'll just recommend
enzymes.
that. Sometimes patients with gastric bypass surgery, they have problems eating certain foods, and they feel like something's gotten stuck. They can't digest it.
Yeah.
I've used those for years, just to help break down and help their stomachs, because now their stomachs are so tiny, they have decreased amounts of acidity to break down their foods. So, okay, wait. What else is interesting? Pregnenolone. Have you ever heard of pregnenolone?
No, because it's too close to pregnant.
Okay. So pregnenolone is the mother hormone. It is the one that formulates all the estrogens, progesterones, testosterones in our body.
Wow.
It's also called the memory hormone. I found out about this because the holistic practitioner who had done all these tests on me to see, how I was doing, she comes back and she's like, "Oh my God, you're so low in pregnenolone." She goes, "How's your memory?" I said, "It stinks. It's really, really horrible." And she's like, "No wonder you have the memory of an 80-year-old woman." Because it was so low. It was like 8, and the scale is up to 80.
You had an 8 on a scale 0 to 80, and wow.
Because with my adrenal, fatigue.
And how did you test for that? Just so the viewers are clear.
A blood test.
A basic blood test.
Blood test. Yeah.
Found out you had the memory of an 80-year-old woman.
Yeah.
A blood
so
test.
Low, yeah.
People go their whole life would never even know that, and
I didn't know that either, and here I am. And I went to the doctor who did the blood test. Because sometimes if you have health insurance, you can go to your physician, and if you can work with them. So I went to my physician and I said, "Can you please do this?" She's like, never even heard of that. What is that?" So I had to explain to my doctor what pregnenolone was.
You just explained to me and the viewers. I had no idea.
So that's another one.
And that's okay, men and women the same.
You should always have, I want to preface, anytime you take a supplement that's kind of out of the norm, or even if it's vitamin D or B12, get your levels checked first.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to switch it to vibrate. I love that.
What was it?
It's so fluffy. It's
know.
Despicable Me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I love it when I'm in like a elevator and it's all quiet, and then it'll go, "It's so fluffy." It goes off.
Who's the comedian who's fluffy? You know who I saw him in Vegas.
Iglesias.
Julio, right?
Yeah, it's Iglesias. Is it Iglesias?
Right? Iglesias, yeah.
Oh, come on, I know Fluff.
Right, because he goes, "Martin."
Yeah, Martin. Yeah, he's funny.
So he's really funny. So that's what.
That's funny. Oh well, let's see. I had questions. Keep going. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
So what I was saying, I always recommend blood baseline levels. And again, you can go to an organization like lifeextension.org or another credible organization that uses LabCorp requests, and you can purchase your own blood tests. But this way you know what your levels are. Because you can't take vitamin D. What if your levels are fine?
And you're pounding vitamin D.
Right. And B12 the same thing.
Sure.
Sometimes your levels could be too high, and that can be negative on your system.
Too much anything.
Too much.
So you had to. So if someone is going to go to their doctor and say, "I need a blood test," do we have to be specific? What do we say? "I need a blood test and I want to check for."
Yeah, well, depending on your physician.
Do we need to go to an endocrinologist or?
Not necessarily. No, you can usually get your basic labs from your primary care physician. Physicians today, unfortunately, are so taxed and stressed out. They're doing paperwork. They have 5 minutes to spend with you. So
and a quota to meet.
Yeah, and their educated consumer is going to be the best patient. Because I go in, I literally have my list, and I say, this is what I would like. I want to discuss it with you. What do you think? These are my symptoms. This is how I'm feeling. And when I did some research, this is what I found. And, I'd like to test my vitamin D because I've been feeling really fatigued, or my B12. Or I'm not really, my memory's been bad, and you've had a lot of stress, so you've had things going on. Maybe they can check for that. That's why a lot of people move to holistic practitioners who do cortisol testing with saliva testing.
Yeah.
Right? You've heard of that one.
Okay.
So that's something that you could test with the blood, but it's not as accurate, they say.
Okay.
As
the
with
saliva test.
I did the saliva testing. It's super easy.
Did you have the memory of a 90-year-old woman?
Yeah, well, my cortisol levels were really high. My DHEA levels, which are another hormone that help with your metabolism and your mental status, that was low. Because of the stress. I mean, stress is a horrible thing. Stress
is the killer. I love how you're talking about being the advocate to the doctor. That's all I scream in mental health is don't just say, "Okay, doctor," 2 in the mouth.
Right.
Be proactive. Go in there with a list. Understand that he really doesn't have that much time. And the day of trusting the doctor is dead.
Right.
I mean, you have to go and almost interrogate the doctor to a point of what's being done. So, to reinforce that to people, you have to be proactive. You got to go in and tell them what you need, what you want. And look, I'm going to be honest, Michelle is in great shape, good looking woman, and you would never think, and being a nutritionist, etc., just by looking, would I think, A, you had the memory of an 80-year-old woman, or would I think your cortisol would be through the roof? I mean, those are things we think we can tell just by visual.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, and it takes, it's not just something overnight. That's a chronic stress. So, for example, someone taking care of a loved one. That was my situation, who was dying. That was extremely stressful. Plus you add kids, plus you have work, and everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. I don't care what kind of walk of life you're from, you have a story, you've been through stuff. And like my husband Mark always tells me, he's like, well, it's those things that create great stories, right? That's why we have to go through all that shit.
That's
because
right.
we have to have stories to talk about when we're older.
I like that. Mark was in here last time. We got to have Mark on the show, man. Me and Mark sat here after our last show. What did we talk for an hour?
I know.
We just went off about life, man. Mark's a deep dude, man.
Oh,
he's cool as shit. We got to have him on the show, but I like that. It's the truth. We got to have stories.
But we all do. And I don't take all. I want viewers to know. You don't need to take 50 vitamins. You need to take what you need. So do your blood tests. Okay.
Start there. Start with the blood test.
Start with the basics. Ask for basic chemistry panel, lipid panel, which is your cholesterol, triglycerides, your good cholesterol, your bad cholesterol.
So I think that's the important info there. Is you said ask for what?
For it's called a CBC, which is your basic chemistry panel.
So a CBC chemistry panel.
And then your lipid panel.
And a lipid panel, okay.
Okay, LIPID, which is your fat panel, your cholesterol, your good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, all that's tested. Your thyroid panel.
That's huge. Now, there's thyroid genetic implications, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that low thyroid runs in my family on that side.
Oh, yeah. My father has hyper, my mother has hyper, and I have something called Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, which is an attack on your thyroid. Again, it came from the stress that I had experienced as a young widow. My daughter also has that at a young age. And things were brought out in stress. I mean, I think you told me, like, even bipolar disease is brought out in stress.
That's right.
And different mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to look at everything, right?
Stress
the mind,
is so
the body.
killer.
Stress just really doesn't.
It's a killer, and that's the world we live in. We live in the world of stress.
Yeah.
Whether it's work or relationships, I don't know, man, if we all take that shit way too serious, Joe Rogan had a 1 minute, 15-second video on onit.com. I suggest everybody watch it. It's one of the best minute and 15 speeches of motivation I've heard, and I'm not into all motivation. But it's great, and he talks about if your life was a movie, and it was starting right now, what would you do to make that movie scene or that change? And he also talks about, remember that everything you do here is meaningless. We think it's meaningful in what we're doing, but over the long period of time, nothing's remembered. So it's about having fun and love and relationships and being in the now and healthy.
But it's so hard. It's so hard sometimes to get that when you have to pay your bill and you have your mortgage or your rent or you got to get food for your kids and you're not making ends meet. I mean, it's really, really challenging.
It is.
But, I want to preface something too. I think we were talking about the doctors and the lab tests. Thyroid panel is another good one to go, your vitamin B12, your D. But talk to your physician. And if your physician's not listening to you, change.
Switch, yeah.
Switch.
You don't have to be
Because you need to be able to communicate, whether it's your primary, your psychiatrist, a therapist, your dietitian. Talk. If they're not listening to you, or they're trying to just push you away with some medication, then think again.
Be wary.
Be wary, yeah, because there are, or if they tell you, oh, vitamins are, they're worthless. Well, you know what, there is a lot of evidence. Linus Pauling won a Nobel Peace Prize for vitamin C. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so vitamin C actually is a really, really potent medication. In high doses, it's been shown to halt cancer, to kill cancer cells. We did
up to 3,000 a day I can take?
You can take up to 3,000, but people who have different disease states, such as cancer, my late husband used to do 80,000 milligrams IV that has to go into their bloodstream.
Wow.
Okay, you don't feel anything. It actually made him feel better. helped his mood, helped his appetite.
Yeah.
But you can Google that too. Linus Pauling Institute is out in Oregon or Washington or Oregon State, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize
for his
work with vitamin C.
We forget I think Dr. Rhonda Patrick should get something for a work in vitamin D. It would only be right, personally, but
no, absolutely. I think that we have to look at everything. Medicine has its place, vitamins have its place. You abuse either one, you can get sick and can have some negative effects, but you always need to speak to somebody who's licensed, who's credentialed. Like we said, I'm just going to close by saying that.
You mean don't listen to your personal trainer about what food to eat and supplements to take?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen, you can let somebody speak.
Sure.
But also know that if you really have an illness or you have something going on, go seek out professional help.
Somebody that's actually trained and licensed, not even though the person you're talking to may look fit, in great shape, and be the best at it. They may be, but they stay fit and exercise for them. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And I do a lot of virtual calls and things like that, or even emails. I make it cheap, a few to $15 for like a 15-minute call, like $1. Just because sometimes people have quick questions, but it's better to ask a professional than it is to go out and even Google.
Or even search for yourself,
right?
I was going to say.
Yourself, because you don't know what you're looking at, and that's really scary.
You can, and too many people do that. They Google, especially when I talk about mental health. I had a rampage this weekend. It was a little off kilter. I was pretty upset. It was deep. But, I tell people, look, if you start looking online for a mental disorder, your first step needs to be prove you don't have it. Do a differential diagnosis. Don't prove you have something. Search online to say, all right, I don't have something. So maybe if there's a supplement you're looking for, search for why not to take the supplement, maybe, instead of how to. It may lead you down a better path, possibly.
Right, and some supplements interfere with medications. Some supplements interfere with liver function. You have cirrhosis. You have liver disease. You have a cardiac problem. You have a blood disorder. I mean, you're on chemotherapy. You're on, what?
Marijuana. Dude, I can't. Every chance I get, I'm throwing marijuana out there.
But you need to really speak to somebody who's in the know.
Sure.
And some physicians are in the know.
Yeah.
And they're really smart and they're into this stuff. And if you're into that, find someone just like that. Yeah. Okay? But you have to be careful. CoQ10, I don't think I went through. That's a good one if you're on a statin because you deplete. It's an enzyme that feeds the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, some energy. And if you're on a statin for cholesterol, you deplete that amount of CoQ.
Okay, so that's CO.
So COQ.
COQ.
It's 100 milligrams, and usually 200 milligrams a day is what's recommended.
And like you said, you're not waking up in the morning taking all of these.
So we're clear. I even brought one that I tried to help me lose some weight. Some green coffee bean extract because someone said, "Oh, I saw it on Dr. Oz." Oh, please. Yeah, that didn't. My bottle is still full. But sometimes you get to the point, especially when you're like in that menopausal place, and you're like, ooh.
And that quick fix shit's got to be put to bed.
Right.
People thinking I can take a skinny pill.
I should know better, but I'm human just like everyone else is. And I don't like when my clothes don't fit me, and I'm like, a little muffin top thing is going on there, and I'm exercising, and I'm eating right, and I still have it.
Yeah.
But what I found out is it was my thyroid.
It's hormonal.
Yeah, it was whole hormonal. So I'm fixing that. I feel better. Working with my doctor.
It's the same thing for men too. Men's what's the testosterone rate?
Yeah.
What is it? I forget.
It's
up
like
to 1,500 or something.
From 200 or so,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And a lot of men, they don't want to. I'm full of testosterone, but you see all these new low T and all this stuff coming out. A lot of that's bunk, but but testosterone's serious. A lot of times, steroids even have such a negative connotation because of sports and the cheating and the baseball and all they told me coming up playing is no steroids, etc. But someone like my brother, right, who had a surgery, a shoulder surgery issue. And he was offered steroids, and because of the negative stigma or connotation or about it, he said no, no steroids in my body. He's never taken them, etc. when that's the first thing he should have done was be, you know, because I think
the inflammation.
it was bad though. I mean, it was torn and things are back here. It was awful. You know, so he needed the steroid, you know, to enhance the shoulder to fix it. But you know, from testosterone to steroids, I think it has its place, you know, as you get older or when you need it. So the same for males too. Have that testosterone tested. You know, I mean, there was a fighter I'm going to use, Dan Henderson, who's my favorite UFC fighter. I mean, manly as it gets. You know, I mean that's as man as it gets. And his trainer thought to test him. And he was in the 300s, in the 200-300 range. And we're talking a full-on 45-year-old fighter his whole life. You know, made a couple changes and moved him right back up, and things changed for him. It's the same with Dr.
That affects mood for men.
That's right,
it?
yeah.
And it affects, I think, clinically, it affects their heart disease and heart rate.
Tons of it.
All that kind of stuff.
A lot of things, you know. And there's another guy, Dr. Mark Gordon. He's treating a bunch of patients with PTSD, severe PTSD, etc., that are coming home. You know, when they come home from war, wherever they're at, they hit the VA and it's just run through the conveyor belt system. Oh, you have depression, take this. You have this. You know, he shows up to Dr. Mark Gordon, this patient, you know, on 18 medications, etc., just done. Mark Gordon starts with a hormone test, went with the blood test, changed the thyroid, has him all the way down to 2 medications now. Yeah, depression's gone, all these things, with just a basic hormone test to change that guy's life. Yeah. You know, but the doctors skip over the basics. I think we even skip over the basics. Sure. You know, and supplements can confuse us sometimes.
Absolutely.
Back to the basics.
You go in and you go into the health food store, and the health food person wants to sell their vitamins.
Oh, and they're good.
And let me tell you, some of them really know their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but you may be better off getting, you know, finding out, researching, taking the name of the vitamin, going to that company website, seeing what kind of research they have available. Talk to, maybe if you can go to see a dietitian. Sometimes I have people that just come to my office with bags of vitamins. And like this, and we look through, and I say, okay, this is a good one. This maybe not so good. This is okay.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel good, you know, or
this is priceless
sometimes
for me.
It could be duplicates of things, because multivitamins, and then you're taking.
I was going to go there, the multi-V
right,
too.
And you're doing all these things. So multivitamins, you know, that's a touchy subject, because
that's my kind of subject.
There's so many of them. Okay. You have to. There's some that are really good. They have everything, but you have to take 10 to 12 pills
all day.
You know, throughout the day.
And then you're peeing that neon green.
I mean, you know. So again, what works for you? If you have a good, healthy diet, you have your blood drawn. You see how you're doing. Just
so I think that's the answer.
For me, I find that to be more realistic than taking, you know, 20 different things or taking 12 pills. Now, there are the multivitamins, the one-a-days. That's like an insurance policy. Okay? It's not really going to do much, but if it makes you feel better, that's okay.
Whatever makes you feel good, right?
You know, I have patients say, oh, I take a multivitamin, I take the one-a-day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's probably not doing too much. Did you read how much it really has of each thing? I mean, it's like a little pin.
What about kid vitamins? You know, these parents shoving these vitamins down their kids' throats.
Again, it's the food. If you're feeding your child.
Here's a double cheeseburger, Coke, fries, and when you're done, take your supplements.
Take your supplement. Listen, there's a place for fast food for kids, and it's our culture now. It's their culture, not ours necessarily, but theirs.
Yeah.
So we have to teach them. Okay, if you're gonna have a McDonald's, well, make sure when mommy makes you a homemade meal for dinner.
Yep.
You do that.
Yeah, and to put a lot of research out there too, or a little something. A lot of parents that are on their kids about that, you know, riding them big time, you know, don't eat that, don't eat that. What they actually will produce, research has shown, is after the kid leaves the home, they will turn obese. Is they've told, don't eat that, don't eat this, you can't eat that. So the minute they have freedom, they start, it's soda and boom, everything they've been told not to. And with my daughter, it was, you know, she's in great shape, volleyball player. She kicks some butt this weekend in Orlando. She stays in good shape and she trains, but her her water intake is awful. You know, she still has that kid, wake up in the morning, don't eat for 4 hours, shove a piece of bread down, call it a day. You know, but what I did with her is I just made the switch kind of slowly in a process. I said, okay, we took this away, and then we took this away. And then what I asked her to do is when she ate her first real big-time salad that I had made her for lunch, you know, with the nuts, and I'm prepping the whole thing. I said, what I want you to do is eat that and tell me how you feel in 20, 30 minutes, and let me know. And, you know, she ate that and she wanted to come out, oh, I feel energy, like I ate, didn't want to go to sleep, you know. So I think letting the kid feel the effects, you know, let them kind of informing you about what's happening, kind of gets them excited about it.
Right, or have them join you, make that. Another good thing you might want to do with your daughter is smoothies. So if she isn't really into big meals, but she needs that energy, have her do a smoothie with that hemp protein.
I do. After the gym, I do make
because
her
that way it replenishes what she's lost in her, you know, volleyball tournaments. I mean, that takes a
I
lot,
sent her up there this time with little ginseng shots. I know she's 15, you know, so it's one ginseng thing a day, but she was cool she thought it was cool that I come home from the health food store with packaged stuff she's never seen before. You know, it's got little brown vials with a straw.
Open. You know what? That's good though that she's open to all that. Here's one last part: Vitamineral Green. So this is actually all the greens you can take. Spirulina. Oh God.
In one pill.
No, this is powder.
Oh, it's just a powder form.
So it's a powder form. So it's like taking. I think you need.
Oh my word! Look at that.
1.5 level tablespoons. So 1.5 tablespoons. You put it in, and it's like your green drink.
Wow.
Because a lot of times people don't have the time to go blend kale or go blend.
I was gonna go there with these juicing people. Okay, what?
Oh, here's the kale. Here's my
all right, what's up with the juicers? All right, there's people that are up in the morning and they, you know, I'm on this juice diet and I've been juicing, whether it's kale juice or all the other juice that they're juicing. Now I heard that blending up things sometimes and those that you can lose certain things by juicing. I also heard that eating the food fills you up a little more, so you're not hungry throughout the day.
What's your purpose? So tell me what your purpose is.
Okay, losing weight.
So losing weight.
It's not my purpose, but
right. So if you're gonna juice for weight loss, a lot of times some of these juices, what they do is they have a lot of enzymes and they have a lot of vitamins and supplements that may decrease the cravings that you're actually experiencing.
Okay, like we've been talking about.
And they're giving you, because when you're restricting, because when you're on a diet, you restrict,
sure.
You know, something that you were used to eating or portions. So this way it actually helps to replenish some of those supplies. I like juicing. I think juicing has its place, whether it's as a smoothie or it's in a juice extractor.
Sure.
You just have to find your mix. But
what about juices for meal supplementation throughout the whole day?
So there's like companies that do that. That has its place, but you really have to question like what's inside of it and how are you getting your protein, right? Because there's a lot of juice. I'm not going to go into companies, but there's like one company that does the juice. I actually did their juicing detox. And what I liked about it was that they had the protein pills. So I'm not losing muscle mass.
Right. I think a lot of people forget about that. You know, they switch to this juicing stuff, and that's a good question. Where does the protein come from?
So this was just pure amino acids. My thing was it was very difficult to stay on. I felt good. I did feel really good on it. I will tell you that. And I was allowed to have small salads, avocado, fresh vegetables. So I was able to eat a little bit. So that helped with the energy. But I did feel better, but it was really hard. I'm not going to tell you it was easy. I did it for like 14 days, and I like just made it.
And so it's not something you should do for long periods then?
No, not at all. And you have to look at your medical conditions. You know, but this can be a supplement. You know, you can juice a few times a day. So this particular book, Juicing for Life, has been around for ages. But they have like chronic fatigue syndrome, food allergies, Epstein-Barr, hypertension. You know, so they have a lot of different inflammation.
I think it's so amazing, the things that are out there that exist in nature.
Menopausal symptoms, right? And they say here, follow the basic diet. So they are going by your diet, and they're telling you, okay, you got to eat well. They're telling you to reduce the amount of fat in your diet, you know, especially if you're menopausal because of the estrogen levels. Nutrients that help, and then beneficial juices.
That's a good book worth picking up, Juicing for Life.
Juicing for Life. And they have here Super 8 stress relievers, so they have kale, collard, so you have all these greens, carrot, pepper. You can go to a lot of these juice bars, you don't get a juice. It's not a bad thing, it's natural. So it's going to take out the fiber maybe, that's why they tell you with the extraction. but you're still getting the nutrients. You're not cooking the food.
Right, so you're not losing too much
So
of
you're
it.
not losing too much. Now, if you have irritable bowel and you need the fiber, well, then that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But if you juice, it's going to replenish some of those nutrients that your body could use and could benefit from. So I do like that. And then here's another book I have, the Doctor's Book of Food Remedies. So what they use is they use food, okay, to help you.
I agree. I mean, being from the South, my grandmother was a nurse, and my great-grandmother was a nurse and passed down, but they used to use kerosene and camphor gum for sore muscles and pulled muscles. So, I mean, the natural things that exist out there it's amazing, the things that are
So
in.
they have earaches and the food connection, and they say that sometimes children are a little allergic to certain foods, and they have a lot of congestion, and that accumulates in the ear and causes ear infection. So you just have to watch what you're eating. And so I just don't like currants. Oh, this is what I was telling you about the currants,
smaller,
right? The little ones. These are I guess the fruit, but I get the dried ones. So it protects against cancer, reduces cholesterol.
That's exactly what you were saying.
Lower the risk for heart disease and prevent constipation. So when you use that, it does really it's sweet, it's really nice. But that's a really nice little additive, digestive aids. Currants are high in fiber.
I mean, so really what we're speaking to is the competency. Is, you got to get competent. See a professional licensed dietitian. Right. See the MDs.
Right.
Do a little research yourself too if there's certain vitamins you want to see. But it's out there. I mean, the information's out there. But I will say though, I don't know. I think the internet's is just so flooded that you don't know. And I think maybe it's a circle back to normal. But it's a saturated place, the internet, of information. So, I think it's going to circle back to the old school of actually having to go see a dietitian, talk to the nutritionist, and say, hey, what's true here? What am I being marketed to, for one, and sold, and what's real?
And going to a dietitian isn't going to like another practitioner where you have to see twice a week or once a week. That depends on you. If you want to, you can always come and see someone more often.
Or start a show and have one on
Right.
once a month.
but this way, you're having, you're getting good information from a reputable source. You're paying the money, but you don't have to see. And you can probably follow a lot. Usually when people come see me, I try to set them up with a plan and say, okay, do you feel comfortable? Because I want you to do this. Because everyone's been on a diet. Most people are really intelligent and they know, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't. And sometimes it's just tweaking it.
Yes,
sometimes it's hearing another, professional say, well, maybe you need some blood tests because it doesn't look like you're eating poorly. I've had patients come to me for weight loss. And I'm like, you're eating really well and you're doing all the right things. So maybe it's not with that. Maybe it's more with
genetic
your genetic and your hormones or stress or something else is going on. And I always offer different suggestions, like a little bit more protein, maybe less carbs, if they're eating too many carbs or they're not eating frequently.
Yeah.
And that could be a problem. So we talk about all those things.
If we had to leave the viewers with one thing, because you messaged me and you said there's some must-haves. What's one of these here that's a must-have that someone should definitely must-have no matter what?
Let's see, must-have probiotics.
Yeah, I thought we were going to go there, the probiotic.
I would say the probiotics. They're easy.
Mm-hmm.
They'll help with good flora because the yogurts, the Activia and all that, it has a lot of sugar. It creates, can feed some of
I get that.
bacteria.
I was talking to a friend and they were like, well, I eat the Greek, yogurt stuff. I'm like, no, man. Back away from the yogurt stuff to get your probiotics. So.
Yeah, the kefir, which is Kefir, unflavored, that's probably a really good source of probiotics, but it
tastes like shit.
For me, it's not a great taste. I don't like that. So
You're
I
so
prefer,
PC. You're so nice. I'm glad I don't have to be PC. I can give a shit. I'm glad I don't have to give a shit.
But I do like.
I think I would agree. I
say the probiotics because I went to a convention 2 years ago for the American Diabetic Association. So they were all doctors and endocrinologists, and the speakers in 2 different seminars I went to said disease starts in the gut. They even think diabetes starts in your gut, your intestinal tract.
Wow.
And how your stomach and everything relates and it feeds to the other parts. Well, it makes sense if you're not digesting properly.
Yeah, that's what's
you're not pooping. Okay?
That's big. All diseases they think are starting in the gut.
So they say it starts there. And if you think about it, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That's where everything feeds out to.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So that makes a lot of sense. Things are absorbed in your small intestine. That's where your vitamins are absorbed.
Yeah.
Your minerals.
With all this focus on genetics and brain, I think we start to forget about how important that gut really is and taking care of that.
So that would be my mess, and just check, make sure it's shelf stable.
Okay, shelf stable probiotic is the one
look
to
at
go.
how many billions. Don't go overboard because you'll get diarrhea. So you have to go and find your rate, find what's working for you. Usually, I tell people take 2 in the morning, 2 at night, depending on these. But that might be too much, and maybe 1 and 1 might be better.
Okay,
right?
Respecting the process.
Right. And if you're gluten free, make sure this product is gluten free.
Okay.
So make sure that no soy in there, no preservatives and things like that.
Great. I would tell people that vitamin D is mine. That would be mine, because Dr. Rhonda Patrick, look up her stuff and she'd tell you a lot more about vitamin D, but that's the one that I would say get tested, get blood tested, make sure you're not taking too much, but if it's something you need, it's something to look into.
Right.
Well, we didn't get too far into the genetic stuff. We covered topics 1 and 2,
okay, well,
but I'll see you in 30 days anyway.
Yes, that's right. We'll talk about that then.
Be back on. Anything, I still, let them know where to get you. Let them know where to get you.
You can go to thevirtualrds.com. You can email me. I email you back, within 48 hours usually.
Or it's free. Yeah, 48 hours or it's free.
No.
Okay.
But I do have reasonable rates because like I said, I'm now more virtual. So what I've done is I've made it, you want to email me a question. It can be a pretty, intense question, and I charge minimal fee for a few dollars.
It's so worth it, though.
Because not everyone can afford an hour and a half visit with me. So I try to make it where if you have a couple of questions, well, maybe we can just email back and forth.
Yeah.
And that way, at least you'll get some information. I send you handouts and things like that.
Yeah, please look up virtualrds.com. I said that right?
Yeah,
Virtual RDS. Look up Michele Silano. Look, I promise you, one meeting is worth it. She'll set you up on a base plan, get you planned out. It's not like a therapist that you need to see all the time, so don't be afraid. Go get the knowledge from the knowledgeable people, not just Google, okay? But I'd urge you to start there. Meeting with the right people, getting the right information, and don't worry, you don't have to take a million pills every morning, but maybe just start with a probiotic in your life. I talked earlier in the show before Michele got here about implementing 1 or 2 behavioral changes slowly over a process. So if the first thing for your supplements is, just implement a probiotic. Try that first, and then start with your blood test and all the other tests we talked about. That's a great place to start. Michele, I love having you on. I learned so much. It's always a blast.
I enjoy it because I get to curse a little bit.
Yeah, no, we got 2 curse words out of you.
I know 2 this time. That's
holy
good.
shit!
I think
Look
so.
at that. Yeah, we got shit twice.
Yeah, you got
I got the F-bomb last week.
Oh yeah, that was
I'm in there. All I got to do is start talking about personal trainers are giving vitamin advice.
Oh well. Yeah, I'm not going to go off on that.
I was going to get another one, but again...
And I like personal trainers. I like them.
We need them.
We need them.
I promise you we need them. It was one a long time ago, and a shout out to my buddy Dwayne Canes up in Orlando. I liked your page. Check out, if you're into fitness and stuff like that, he's the guy up in Orlando to look at. But again, appreciate you being here. Hang out for a little bit longer, please. Cool. You guys can't hang out anymore.
Thank you.
We're going to take pills, allegedly. Just kidding. But I'll see you next week at 7, okay?